I'm turning off the music. Hold on. No, I'm turning off the music. Okay. I need everybody, everyone, to understand. What the fuck? Shut up. No. Stop it. Twitch. Stop. Look. I need everybody to understand right now. I don't give a fuck what science says. This is not a theropod. This is a crocodilian. Either it should be renamed. It should be called Spinosaurus. It doesn't make sense as to why it's a theropod. Okay? Look, even if we go... I'm not a paleontologist or an archaeologist. Okay? I'm not. The only reason that this is considered a theropod, the absolute only fucking reason that this thing is considered a theropod is because it was large and it had 3 toes. That's it. It's a theropod because it was a large carnivore with 3 toes. I don't fucking care if it only had 3 toes, okay? Theropods were birds. Tyrannosaur, raptors, all of that. You're gonna look at me and tell me that's a fucking bird? That ain't a bird. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna die. I will die on this hill. That ain't a theropod. Okay? Yeah, and I fully understand. Let me find another picture. Let me find one of its fossil. Let me find a picture of its fossil. All right, let me pull that up. Spinosaur, I can't type. Spinosaur fossil. Let me see. What? It pulled up a bunch of toys. Let me find a full size, like a good angle of the fossil of a Spinosaur. And let me explain to you why this one will work. This will work. This will work. Okay. Here's a good one. Here's also a good one. This actually supports the argument I'm about to make. So does this. I didn't want to save that. This actually supports the argument I was about to make. I don't think that's an actual fossil, though. Because why are there sparks coming off of it? I'm not going to use that one. But, okay. So this kind of supports the argument that I'm about to make. I do not believe... I'm on the side that the crocodilian, the Spinosaur, was not a quadruped. At least not fully quadrupedal. If you look at its arms... Here's a good one. I can use that one. But yeah, if we look at its arms, they're simply too dainty. The bones aren't quite long enough, and the bone structure isn't right to... Now, again, I am not a paleontologist, right? I am just some autistic motherfucker who never grew out of his dinosaur phase. But I believe personally that Spinosaur wasn't a quadruped. I don't even think... I used to say that it was semi-quadrupedal. Now I don't think it's quadruped at all. However, it did swim. I do believe it was semi-aquatic. I'm fully on the side of it being semi-aquatic because of the look of its tail, right? The spine. Look at its arms. Even if we go back to this one, look at its arms. Those are ideal for swimming. Okay, those are like the perfect bone structure to swim. So I am fully on the side of it being semi-aquatic, and I know there's some people out there like, no, the Spinosaur was fully landlocked. It wasn't semi-aquatic. Bull fucking shit. Okay, look at its fucking tail. Look at its tail. Okay, now let me look up. Hold on. I can't spell. Crocodile tail bone. Okay. So that was the Spinosaur tail, right? Look at the fucking crocodile tailbone. Look at the crocodile's arms. Let me hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold the fuck up. Okay, look at this. Look at the Spinosaurus tail. Okay? Look at the crocodile's tail. Spinosaur tail, crocodile tail. Look at this. Look at the crocodile arms. Look at the Spinosaur arms. Let me find a good shot of the Spinosaur legs. Oh, here's a good shot of the tail. Hold on. Look at this. No, that's not a good shot of the tail. Hold on. Give me a good shot of the Spinosaur's tail. I need a good shot of its tail. Good picture of a Spinosaur tail. Also, that's not the type of Spinosaur. That's not a Spinosaur. I mean, it is a Spinosaur. Not the Spinosaur I'm looking for. I'm looking for like your classic, Spinosaur. Like this. Okay. This isn't a fossil. This is a replica of a fossil, obviously, that's made of metal. You can tell. God, I need a good picture of the Spinosaur's tail, man. Like a really good picture of it. Okay, hold on. Let me do this. Tail. Okay. Look, here's fucking recreations of what the tail would have looked like. Here's recreations of what the Spinosaur would have looked like. Those are fucking crocodile arms. Okay? Here's crocodile. Here's Spinosaur. Crocodile. Spinosaur. Now, people do not refute. They do not refute the fact that emus are descendants of terror birds. They don't. That's irrefutable because of their skeletal structure. People do not refute emus are related to terror birds. Okay, so if we do emu skeleton, right? Okay, so people don't refute this, right? Because this is an emu skeleton. This is what the emu skeleton looked like. And now if we do terror bird fossil, right? Here's a terror bird. This is a terror bird. Hold on. I don't know why it does that. Terror bird, emu. See if I can find a good picture of it. A better picture. Here we go. Emu. Why does it say rat skeleton? That is, might be ratate or ratite after emus. I gotta find a better picture of an emu skeleton. Hold on. Hold your horses. And find a better picture of an emu skeleton. Hold on. Okay, here we go. This is an emu, right? Emu, terror bird. Emu, terror bird. See how similar they are? Right? So no one refutes the fact that emus are relatives of terror birds. Okay? But they refute that these two things are related. Right? This is not a crocodilian. This is a theropod. This is a bird. This is a bird. Okay? This is a reptile. This is a crocodilian. This is a bird. A bird. Reptile. Bird. This thing, in other words, because this is a theropod, this is more closely related to this than this. It is more closely related to this motherfucker than it is to this motherfucker. It's like when I first learned about mountain chickens all over again. Okay? I will stand my ground on this. I will die on this hill. Even if I die alone, Spinosaurs weren't theropods. Spinosaurs are not theropods. They shouldn't be classified as theropods. They should be classified as crocodilians or their own species, which they kind of already are. They're in their own family tree of theropod. with the Spinosaurid. So why? Who sent me a message? I don't know what this is. What the fuck? Fuck off. Anyway. So why? I lost my train of thought. Spinosaur should not be a theropod. Okay? It should be its own species. And it kind of already is. Like I said, theropods, in the theropod family tree, there is another tree called the Spinosaurid, alongside Tyrannosaura, alongside Tyrannosaurus, alongside Raptora, alongside Tyrannosauria, and Raptora. Right? Guess what's under Tyrannosauria? T-Rex. Guess what's under Raptora? Raptors. Right? Spinosaurs. There's multiple different species of Spinosaur. This is just the one that we know the best. This is just the one that everybody knows. Jurassic Park 3, blah, 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 blah. Right? However, I believe Spinosaurid should be reclassified and should not be a theropod. I don't know why it's a theropod. It shouldn't be a theropod. I will die on this hill even if I die alone. It should be a crocodilian or its own species. Spinosaurid as its own species. It's not a theropod, it's not a crocodilian, it's its own thing. It is its own thing. Right? Now, you can classify it under reptiles. I'd be okay with that. Classify it as a reptile. I'm fine with that. You know, like snakes. All right, I know you can classify it. I fully believe Spinosaur should be reclassified to a crocodilian. And its name should be changed from Spinosaur to Spinosuchus. I will die on this hill. I don't care if I die alone. I don't care how many people are against me. I don't care if a Spinosaur gets resurrected from the dead and it turns out it's covered in feathers. I will die on this hill. It is a reptile. And on top of that, look, I forgot to mention this. One of the reasons why this is considered a theropod is because it has 3 toes. Right? It was a 3-toed dinosaur, which is why it's considered a theropod. Right? All right. Let me show you something. Let me find a good picture of its foot. Hold on. What is that? You're not going to be able to see when I'm pointing. What is that? That right there. Is that not a 4th toe? You know what else has 4 toes? Crocodiles. Enough said. No, that's not enough said. I feel very passionate about this. Okay. Another Spinosaur skeleton. What is that? Another Spinosaur skeleton. What is that? Spinosaur skeleton. What is that? Looks like a 4th fucking toe to me. Now, I could be completely wrong. I could be totally 100% wrong. I am not a paleontologist. But look, this one wasn't drawn with the other toe. It was only drawn with 3. Where'd it go? Why is it suddenly not there? What about this one? Oh, look, what is that? Looks like a 4th fucking toe. Let's look. This is a no. I don't know. This is a recreation. It's taking me to Amazon or eBay, whatever. Look at that. Oh, I can zoom in on this. What is that? Looks like a 4th fucking toe. Let me see. What else we got here? Oh, look. Here's a T-Rex. 4th toe. That just disproved my whole theory. Right there. Because T-Rex is a theropod. Huh. And also the tail structure. Huh. See. Well, I just, I, hmm. Hmm. Looking at these, maybe T-Rex wasn't a theropod. Huh? No, T-Rex is 100% was a theropod. We found feathers. We found evidence of feathers. And these are very, very, very similar skeletal structures. Huh. And actually looking at it, yeah, that's very wing-like. Looking at this and how its bones go, it's very, very, very wing-like. I stand corrected. um, I went on a whole spiel about that for 16 minutes. Spinosaurus was a theropod. I all it took was to look at one picture of a Spinosaur and a Tyrannosaur skeleton compared. It's irrefutable that T-Rex is a theropod. Spinosaurus is a theropod. I apologize to the entire paleontology community. I feel bad. I feel like such a fucking idiot. I love dinosaurs. How could I have not just done one simple search of a Tyrannosaur fossil and then compared it to a Spinosaur fossil and come to the conclusion that, oh, did you look at that? They're theropods. I feel some type of way.